Downsize, join a retirement community, assisted living, or a nursing home. There are a lot of options as you move through retirement. Becky Montgomery of Senior HomeFinder of Iowa helps us make sense of senior living right now on Retiring Today. Welcome to Retiring Today. Today we've got a special guest with us. It's Becky Montgomery of Senior HomeFinder of Iowa, and this is Loren Merkle. He's a certified financial planner, a certified financial fiduciary, and a retirement income certified professional. Let's get right to Becky. Becky, spending time with you is a real joy for everybody here at Merkle Retirement Planning because you are so passionate about what you do. So before we dive into how you help people make this really big decision as they move through retirement, we've got to get to your why because it's a really interesting story.
Okay. Well, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in like '03, and my dad was her primary care provider. And come around 2010, 2011, he started looking at communities. And now my dad was Johnny Orr, and every community he went into, they wanted him in their community.
Most people hear Johnny Orr, they know exactly who you're talking about, but just in case they don't, he was the longtime Iowa State basketball coach, longtime Michigan basketball coach, actually the winningest coach at Michigan when he left, and the winningest coach at Iowa State University when he retired.
Yes, absolutely, and an amazing husband and father. But when he would walk out, then he'd look at me and he'd go, "Beck, I don't want to live with a bunch of old people." And I said, "It's okay, Dad, you're not old, you're only 82, you know?" So then after we moved them into a community, I realized everyone else at the same community had the same problem we had trying to figure it out. So a couple years after my mom passed, I went to work at a community for a short while, 3 months, and then I decided, I can better serve people if I'm not limited to one community. And then I decided to start this business in March of 18. Okay. And it has gone extremely well, and I love helping people.
And we know how much you love helping people. We'll talk about a little bit how you help people. But Loren, to talk a little bit about the relationship between Merkle Retirement Planning and Becky.
All you have to do is be a few years from retirement, and retirement is way more than just the financial. We spend a lot of time on this show talking about the financial aspect of retiring, which is absolutely essential. But there's a lot more that comes to it, especially when you go through an emotional situation like trying to find advanced care or a different level of care for a loved one, a parent or a spouse. And we go through that. The families that we work with go through that. We see that happen all the time. So it's nice to have a resource like Becky Montgomery to help our families through it. And I think that's actually how we met you, is through one of our families who worked with you and said, "You have to meet Becky. She does an incredible job, makes a complex process very simple, and fulfills a need that is very important with a lot of the families that we work with."
Yeah, and that is a great point, Loren, because the families and individuals that we work with, they create their own community just organically. We hold events and we bring them together for different learning opportunities and for some creative events as well, but they also want to help each other. So when they find somebody like Becky, they come back to us and say, "I want to tell everybody else who works with you guys about this as well." So Becky, let's go back to that overwhelming feeling. Let's go back to your mom and your dad when they were making this decision. What are some of the things that are going through people's minds, or what are some of the options they have, or some of the worries?
Well, it's so overwhelming because there are so many options. I mean, if you want to move in and go to independent living, you have a tremendous number of options. If you don't want to move out of your house, we don't encourage you to do it until your safety or security is in jeopardy. But you have to have a plan in place, because the difference between a challenge and a disaster is based on how well you've planned. And if you haven't got a plan in place and something needs to be done right away, you don't have a very good idea of what you need or where you need to go. But it's an overwhelming process because you're looking at so many options and wondering what's going to happen, and are these people nice? Are they good caregivers? What's their rating? You need to know more about the communities so that you have a better understanding. And the funny thing that's changed a ton since I started this in 18 is even the management companies change. The staff changes and the management company changes. So everything is volatile, and you just have to go with what is best for you. I strongly believe there is not a single senior living community that's perfect for everyone. So you got to give them a lot of choices and let them make their own decision.
You're speaking our language, Becky, when you talk about the importance of having a plan in place. We talk about the importance of having a retirement plan in place, but one of the issues that we find that comes up is, what is a retirement plan? You know, a lot of people think a retirement plan is the investments, where as you get closer to retirement and even go through retirement, you realize there's a lot more to retirement planning than just the investments. You need to deliver income, you need to figure out what's going on with Medicare, legacy planning, all these other things that come into it. So when you're talking about have a plan in place for senior home finding, what would that look like? What are some of the basic components of that plan?
Financial is number one.
No surprise there.
No. Medical needs is number two, and number three is, where's your family? Those are the things that are most important. You want your family to be able to visit often, because it's just human nature that the more your family visits, the better care you get, because they get to know your family and then they take better care of you. So it's not intentional, it's just human nature. So those are the things that are most important: your financial, your medical needs, and where your family is, so they can get there with ease.
And I don't want to overlook that financial piece, because this has been quantified, and they do studies on it. So the most recent numbers that we have, the Genworth study, we're talking about the Des Moines area for these numbers, but home health aid, about $5,000 a month, assisted living facility, almost $5,000 a month, nursing home private room, $7,700 a month. That's if you're using those facilities right now. Fast forward 20 years, of course you can expect most of that to double as you move to and through retirement.
True, and currently, a lot of those are higher now, even now, just because of the situation we're in as a country. Some are over $10,000 a month for long-term care, and it's just the way it is. So you have to understand how to manage that side of it and where to choose, so that when you run out of money, you don't get kicked out.
Yeah, you've just recently seen a big increase in costs just around the metro area, and I think a lot of that probably has to do with wage inflation. Staffing is requiring a lot more from a compensation standpoint. The food costs, all the normal costs that most businesses are experiencing right now, you're seeing with the senior home finding facilities as well.
Yes, absolutely. They're all increasing their rates, their fees, their monthly. Their second person fee is exorbitant sometimes. I mean, when my parents moved in, it was $250, right, for the second person. Now it's upwards of $700, $1,200, $1,700, $1,800 for the second person. Yeah. So it just depends where you choose, what you need, and how you can negotiate what you want.
Yeah, and because of those costs, that's why healthcare planning is one of the big components of the overall retirement plan. So we identify within the overall plan, if you need assisted living, if you need home health care, if you need memory care, how much would that cost on a projected basis going forward? And then where would the best places within your overall income sources be to provide those assets? And one of the most important pieces of information that a lot of people are looking for, especially married couples, is if my spouse needs this type of care and it costs, let's say, an extra $10,000 a month, what does that do to the rest of your retirement? How does that impact it from an overall financial standpoint? And again, as you're going through one of these types of scenarios, the emotional toll that it takes on you if you don't have a plan in place for the health care that is necessary, but also from an overall retirement planning standpoint, it can just make that even that much worse.
Yes, well, I often refer people to elder law attorneys who can teach them in Iowa what's legal. So you can combine all your assets, okay, except your house and your car don't count. Then you can split them in half, and when one spends down and they can now be eligible for Medicaid, you're not broke taking care of them. So if you don't choose to move in with them, you want to get that plan in place definitely before you move anyone anywhere.
Yeah, and whether or not the facility accepts Medicaid would also be an important part of that planning component. So as you're working with families, what role does that play in the overall conversation?
Well, mostly I explain that if the community doesn't ask you to fill out a financial application, then they're probably going to kick you out when you run out of money, because their job is to fill the building, and they're not worried about how long you can pay. But the communities that want to keep you and want to make sure you can meet their requirements for private pay before they convert you to Medicaid, require that you fill out a financial application so they can review it.
You've heard a lot of talk about paying for long-term care, having a retirement plan. You might have some questions. Maybe you haven't started thinking about this, maybe you've thought about it, but you don't have a plan in place. You can talk directly to a retirement planner by scheduling a 15-minute retirement checkup call. Go to merkleretire.com. You can schedule your 15-minute retirement checkup call today. More with Becky Montgomery next.
Has the recent market volatility put your retirement plan to the test? See if your retirement is still on track by scheduling a retirement checkup with Loren Merkle. During this 15-minute phone call, we'll discuss if your retirement plan could be disrupted by long-term market volatility. We'll also analyze your current tax plan and provide strategies on how to take advantage of the market. Go to merkleplan.com and click Book Now to schedule your retirement checkup today.
Anytime I have even the smallest question about my accounts or what effect the latest tax law might have on my situation, the Merkle Retirement Planning team is always there and quick to help. I'm so glad they treat you like family. I'm so happy to have such an excellent team working for my future and ensuring I do the best to achieve my financial goals.
Merkle Retirement Planning. Your retirement starts here.
This is Retiring Today. We've got Loren Merkle, and this is Becky Montgomery of Senior HomeFinder of Iowa. So, Becky, we really want to paint a clear picture for people of what your process is like. So, first off, let's start with who contacts you generally. Children or a couple or an individual?
It's a mix of both. It's part of the reason that I work 7 days a week until 8 o'clock at night is because sometimes the people that I work with are employed and they can't work in the middle of the day. Or you meet them during their lunch or something. But I work with both. The parents who are looking for themselves, the parents who are looking for a spouse, or the children. And sometimes the children go along because the children are trying to convince them to do something.
Yeah, I think that's an important point because sometimes people are really proactive with their living and they're just looking for themselves, right? They're still completely independent, but they just want a continuum of care and they want to make that decision for themselves. So sometimes you work with the individual who's actually looking for themselves.
Absolutely. It's a mix of both.
And the best way for people to contact you is your website or your phone?
Yeah, they can reach out through my website, and it's the same as the business name, seniorhomefinderof.iowa.com, or they can call me at 515-770-8831. I answer the phone all the time. I even answer spam calls, and I just say, thank you for calling. This is Becky. May I help you?
Just in case it's somebody on the other
Yes.
end who needs some help, because we know this is a big decision as you move to and through retirement. Okay, so let's say I've contacted you and I'm concerned about my loved one, what the next steps for them. So then what do we do?
Then we usually set up a meeting so we can talk to you about their financial situation, their medical needs, and where the family is located. So we can set up tours around that location so that it's easy for people to visit. And we go over what is most important to them, what their hobbies are, what things they like, what are you looking for, so that when we're actually on a tour, we can remind you of the things that were important to you, so you're not overwhelmed by the salespeople of the communities.
Okay, so on the tour, what you help them look for, maybe some of the things that, of course, the person who works there maybe wouldn't point out because they're employed by that company. What kind of things are you guys questions are you asking or looking for, or tips do you have?
Well, it's like activities. What kind of activities do they offer in each community? They all do different things. And how often are those offered? Some do it 7 days a week and in the evenings. Some only do it 5 days a week. What is your need for what you want to do in a social environment? Do you want to be social? Do you want to be isolated in your own room? So it's individual. The whole thing is individual.
So it wouldn't be just a tour of the living room, right? Their room that they might be in. It's basically what is their living experience going to be like, from the activities that they're engaged in, maybe even food?
Yo, absolutely. Food is a big part of
Food
it.
is a big part of it.
Big part of it.
So you guys sit down and have a little meal and taste
Their food.
Yeah.
You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a lot of the things that they might enjoy or they might experience in that particular facility. Is that accurate?
Absolutely accurate, because it's what they want, you know, and they're all different. So it's very interesting to look at a bunch of different options.
And so people out there might be wondering, do you work for a specific retirement community, or do you kind of assess all the retirement communities, or who exactly are you essentially paid by, I guess?
Actually, we get paid if they happen to choose a community with whom we're contracted. But it's not about us, it's about them. We include communities we're not contracted with on the tours, and we don't really mention it to our clients. It's not about us, it's about them. And we don't care if we have a contract or not. If they choose one we are contracted with, we get paid.
And you get paid by the facility, not
Yes.
the individual that you're working with.
Correct. We do not charge the individuals we work with at all. And our contract with the communities makes it illegal for the community to pass our fee on to them. So we protect them. We also protect them big time when we go on tours. If they ask them for their phone number or their email, I say, just give them mine. Don't let them bother you. I will keep them updated on what you're choosing and what you're deciding and when you're planning to make the move.
Yeah, that's a nice bonus of your service. Okay, I got an idea about the social aspect of it, but let's go back to the medical for just a minute, because we know that different needs require different levels of care. Is there any misconceptions out there about what certain levels provide, or things that you think are really important people know?
Well, I think sometimes as you make the decision later in your life, you're going to want a continuous care retirement community, a CCRC, so that you don't have to leave, go to a hospital, go to another community, and then come back, so that it's all in the same community. And there is a remarkable change in the assisted living world where they're bringing in physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy into their communities now, so that they are actually more like the CCRC, even though they only offer independent, assisted, and memory care. So it's challenging, but everybody's trying to compete and make it as nice and easy for everyone that lives there as possible.
Now, I know some people are saying, okay, this all sounds good. I understand the advantages of working with you and the advantages of moving through there, but I know somebody out there heard that $10,000 a month, Loren, and they stopped there and said, there's no way. This isn't going to work for me. I'm not going to do that because I just plain won't be able to afford it.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of studies out there. The study that we quote sometimes says you're going to need over $300,000 over the course of your lifetime just for health care, not including accelerated care like some of the care that we're talking about here today. That would be the $10,000 a month. You're looking at all the different income sources that you have, and you're saying, how do I do this? You might have $500,000 in your IRA. You're thinking $10,000 a month for this type of care, $300,000 for the other type of health care. Where's the living expenses going to come from? And this is why we put all of the resources together in your plan to identify. I mean, take Social Security alone. If you add up your monthly payments over the course of your lifetime with Social Security, that could be a 7-figure portfolio. So by maximizing Social Security, maximizing your pension, maximizing your IRAs and 401k plan, part of that maximization strategy is decreasing the overall taxes that you pay when you take money out of your pre-tax accounts. So by really getting the most out of all that you have is one of the ways that you can put into your plan a confidence level of you're going to be able to pay for healthcare, you're going to be able to pay for an accelerated or additional level of care if you need it. And then there's also other protection mechanisms, whether it's long-term care insurance or some other strategies that you can use to offset the type of cost that you might occur as well.
Okay, when it comes to paying for healthcare and long-term care, there are a lot of strategies to consider. We're going to go into those in just a moment, but we're also going to tell you about an opportunity to really see how this all plays out in a 30-year retirement. It's a hypothetical couple. They're John and Sue, and we take them on a journey to retirement. It's an online workshop we think you'll be excited to watch because you're really going to learn a lot about how this all comes together. We want to give you all of those details in just a moment.
The Merkle Retirement Planning Team provides personable and professional expertise unrivaled in this area. They include us in every step of the planning process. The peace of mind provided to us by the Merkle team allows us to fully enjoy this special time of our lives. Instead of feeling snakebit, we feel confident that with the Merkle Retirement Planning team at our sides, we can navigate any challenge that comes our way.
Merkle Retirement Planning. Your retirement starts here.
Biking, boating, relaxation? What's your retirement vision? Learn how to take the money you've worked so hard to save and turn it into the retirement of your dreams during our Journey to Retirement workshop. Like getting ready for a trip, getting to and through retirement takes a roadmap. This workshop is the first step to planning your 20 or 30-year vacation. Go to retirewithmerkle.com to register for our Journey to Retirement workshop this week.
This is Retiring Today. I'm here with Loren Merkle and Becky Montgomery of Senior HomeFinder of Iowa. And Becky, I have a question that I suspect you've seen play out several times. So let's say the kids think maybe mom or dad needs to go into some level of care, but mom or dad says, no, I don't want to go. How do you help in that situation?
Sometimes I would just help them as a third party. It's much easier for me to convince either of the parents or both of the parents of when to consider it and what is important in how their kids want them to be safe. Because I'm not emotionally attached to the kids or to the parents, and they look at it more as if I know what I'm talking about, as opposed to the kids who are, no, we want you out of here. Well, I'm not gonna give you my house, but whatever. We help them so that they know that the security and safety is what is most important.
Yeah, that can be a very emotionally charged conversation, and so it's nice to have an objective, third-party, unbiased person who has seen this many, many times before come in and provide some guidance. And really, I think the trigger point that you're looking at is safety.
Yes.
Right? When does it become unsafe for that individual to stay in the home? And then that is objective information you can pass on and say, okay, maybe it's time to go. Or maybe it's not unsafe yet. And then there's some other options, like maybe
in-home care.
In-home care.
Yep, and I refer them to in-home care companies all the time until they're ready to make the decision.
So making that decision has a lot of layers to it. Let's go back to that financial piece, because we have to keep going back there, Loren, because that's really a value too that is part of this retirement plan they help people put together. So we've been talking about John and Sue. We're going to keep talking about John and Sue, because when you take people on through this online workshop, John and Sue are the focus, and John and Sue have to figure out how to pay for long-term care if they should need it. Let's talk about how you help them.
In this online workshop, the Journey to Retirement online workshop, John and Sue are the star of the show. And it's a hypothetical couple, and we specifically present it this way so you can kind of see you through the eyes of John and Sue. John and Sue have some very specific goals that they're trying to accomplish in retirement. They saw their parents go through a long-term care type of situation, and they are adamant that they want to be prepared because they felt like their parents weren't as prepared as they went through it. So they do address long-term care within their overall plan. We cover that in detail. There's 4 different options, in fact, that we cover as far as how they can financially cover their long-term care exposure within this online workshop. But we also walk you through all 6 components. There's the lifestyle component of a retirement plan, their income component. When you retire, where is the income going to come from? How do you maximize your Social Security? How do you incorporate your pension within your overall income plan? The tax plan piece of it is big. Your retirement tax bill could be into the high 7 figures depending upon what your investment resources look like. So how do you decrease your overall retirement tax bill? The legacy planning piece of it, you talked a little bit, Becky, early on in the show about how the legacy plan plays into the overall advanced level of care decisions. So we talk about John and Sue's long-term care and legacy plan and how that works together. And then, of course, the investment plan. With the market on fire right now, everybody's looking at their 401k plan saying, whoa, I'm down 30%, 20%. How do you retire in an economy like we're seeing right now when the market is on fire? So all of that we walk you through the eyes of John and Sue, and you can walk out of that journey online workshop with some specific strategies that you can incorporate and help with you on your way to accomplishing your retirement vision.
There's some great information on your screen right now. It's a website and a QR code. You can pull your phone out right now, take pop up the camera part of your phone and then hover over the QR code that'll send you right to the website. There you can sign up for the online Journey to Retirement workshop. You can pick your date and time. Once you sign up, then you'll get a kit in the mail. That kit will include a fun travel mug and some other things that'll get you started on your journey. But the most valuable thing that'll come with that kit is the Journey to Retirement workbook. It's on the table, Loren, and that a lot of people find that they take a lot of notes as they watch the online workshop and they have their workbook out.
When we're going through the online workshop, there's so much information that we talk about because there's so much information that is necessary for you to have to make the important decisions that you are going to have to make with confidence. So the workbook is a complement to that information. So even after the workshop, you can go back to the workbook, refer to the notes that you've taken over the course of the online workshop, and have a conversation with your spouse or loved ones as you're trying to make these decisions. So it's a great resource not only for the workshop, but also to refer back to afterwards to kind of remind yourself of some of the content that we covered and some of the ideas that you had, some of the new ideas that were sparked from the information from the Journey to Retirement workshop.
And you can ask questions during the online workshop.
It's interactive. We get a ton of questions during the workshop, and we try to get to all of them. But even if we can't get to your specific question in the workshop, we offer the opportunity for you to call us through the 15-minute complimentary checkup call, and we can answer your questions specifically.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about long-term care. We've been talking about John and Sue. You said they had 4 options. Do you want to give away how they end up planning for this in retirement, or do you just gonna have to?
I say attend the workshop, and you're gonna see the different decisions that they make. And one of the things is, John and Sue, one of the things that you're gonna see as you're researching retirement, sometimes online you see, well, you need at least $1 million to retire. You need at least $3 million to retire. John and Sue don't even have $1 million, and they have an excellent retirement. And it's all about the planning that they do, from the income, the tax, the long-term care, the legacy planning. All of that planning comes together to help them have the retirement that they want to have with the resources that they do have. So all of the decisions that they make will be unfolded in the Journey to Retirement workshop.
And Becky, you mentioned planning at the very beginning. Planning is so important when it comes to moving to and through retirement and your living situation. Let's put your information up on the screen one more time. Give us your website and phone number.
SeniorHomeFinderofIowa.com, 515-770-8831.
Becky, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for watching.
Biking, boating, relaxation? What's your retirement vision? Learn how to take the money you've worked so hard to save and turn it into the retirement of your dreams during our Journey to Retirement workshop. Like getting ready for a trip, getting to and through retirement takes a roadmap. This workshop is the first step to planning your 20 or 30-year vacation. Go to retirewithmerkle.com to register for our Journey to Retirement workshop this week.